As autumn deepened in a small Ohio town, Emily Hansen was carefully mixing cake batter in her kitchen. Tomorrow was her grandmother Rose's birthday. Emily worked part-time at the local library, but her love for her grandmother ran deeper than anyone else's. "Mom, is this ribbon okay?" 8-year-old Jacob came running over, holding a gold ribbon in his hand. His brown eyes sparkled with anticipation. Emily smiled and ruffled her son's hair. "Perfect, Jake. Grandma will absolutely love it." In the living room, her husband Michael was working on decorations with a serious expression. True to his meticulous nature as an accountant, he was even measuring the height of the balloons. "Emily, your grandmother's favorite color is purple, right?" Michael asked, turning around. "Yes, she especially loves lavender," Emily replied warmly. She took pride in understanding her grandmother better than anyone else in the family. Grandmother Rose had showered Emily with unwavering love since she was little. Even when her parents were busy with work, her grandmother always listened to Emily's stories. From small troubles at school to career decisions after college graduation, her grandmother always gave her sound advice. When Emily decided to marry Michael, her grandmother was the first in the family to bless their union. But the rest of the family was different. Emily's father Robert openly called her grandmother stubborn and old-fashioned. Her mother Carol found visiting grandmother bothersome. "Mom is too stuck in her old ways," Carol would often say. "She can't keep up with modern society, yet she keeps butting in with her opinions." Especially cold was Emily's sister Ashley. A successful hairdresser, she looked down on her grandmother's lifestyle. "Grandma still uses that old tube TV. She won't even try to get a smartphone. Doesn't she realize she's been left behind by the times?" Ashley had even forgotten to bring a gift for their grandmother last Christmas. When Emily pointed this out, she brushed it off with, "I was too busy and forgot." Emily had called everyone in the family last night to confirm their attendance. However, no matter how many times she called her parents' house, it went to voicemail, and Ashley's cell phone was out of service. She felt a little anxious but told herself they were probably just busy. "Dad, will Grandma really be happy with this?" Jacob asked worriedly. "Of course she will," Michael said, kneeling down to meet his son's eyes. "Your grandma is happiest when family is together." Emily felt warm listening to their conversation. Though Michael wasn't blood-related, he truly loved her grandmother as real family. Jacob also adored his grandmother deeply. Visiting grandmother together every Sunday afternoon had become a precious family tradition. Early the next morning, Emily tried calling her family again. But once again, no one answered. With a small knot of anxiety in her chest, she shifted her mindset. Even if no one else came, she was determined to give her grandmother the best birthday celebration with just their little family. Homemade cake, carefully chosen presents, and most importantly, the love of their family of 3. That would be enough. As she loaded the car with their gifts, Emily pictured her grandmother's smile. When they arrived at her grandmother's small house, Rose was waiting at the front door. With her white hair neatly styled and wearing her favorite lavender dress, she broke into a radiant smile the moment she saw the family. "Emily, Michael, and Jake. Thank you for coming." However, Emily caught a hint of loneliness in her grandmother's eyes. She probably realized that the rest of the family wasn't coming. Still, her grandmother smiled gently as always. Rose's living room was warmly decorated with Emily's family's love. Gold and lavender balloons swayed gracefully from the ceiling, and a handmade, "Happy 86th Birthday" banner hung above the fireplace. At 2 o'clock in the afternoon, the party's start time arrived. "Everyone will be here soon, won't they?" her grandmother asked, sitting in the chair by the window and gazing down the street. Emily looked at her watch. It was 2 o'clock. In the message she'd sent last night, she had told everyone 2 o'clock in the afternoon. But the front doorbell never rang once. "They're probably just stuck in traffic," Emily replied cheerfully, though anxiety was growing in her chest. Michael picked up his cell phone in the corner of the living room. "Should I try calling your father?" Emily nodded. Michael called Robert's number, but it went to voicemail again. "Hello, this is Robert Johnson. I can't come to the phone right now. Please leave a message." As the mechanical voice played, Michael looked somewhat puzzled. "Dad, this is Michael. Mom's birthday party has started. We're waiting for you." Jacob sat next to his grandmother, holding her hand with his small one. "Grandma, I'll sing you a song." "Thank you, Jake. Your voice is the most beautiful," his grandmother said, gently stroking her grandson's head. By 2:30, no one had appeared. Emily was in the kitchen, staring at the sandwiches and salad she had prepared. She had made food for 20 people. She had invited her grandmother's siblings, cousins, and neighborhood friends too. "Emily," Michael came into the kitchen. "I tried calling Ashley too, but it still won't connect." Emily took a deep breath. "It must be some kind of mistake. Let me try calling Mom one more time." Carol's cell phone connected after 3 rings. "Hello?" Her mother's voice sounded clearly irritated. "Mom, it's Emily."
Can you imagine making $10,000 a month just from YouTube, all from home? That's exactly what I did with Reddit Stories. No face, no voice. Check the link in the description if you're curious.
"Do you remember Grandma's birthday party? It's almost 3 o'clock and no one has come." She could hear some commotion on the other end of the line. Then came Carol's unbelievable words. "Oh, is she still alive?" Laughs. Emily couldn't believe her ears. "What did you say?" "About Mom. She's still doing well, isn't she? We're on vacation in Florida. Ashley's here too. We're having cocktails by the pool right now. Don't bother us." Emily's hands trembled. "Today is Grandma's birthday. I've been contacting you about it since last week, haven't I?" "Oh, was it? But we already had this vacation booked. Your father was really looking forward to it. Next year would be fine, wouldn't it?" "Next year? Mom, we don't know if Grandma will have a next year." "Oh, you're being dramatic. Mom is strong, so she'll be fine. Don't interrupt our vacation. The weather is so nice here." From the other end of the phone, Emily could hear Ashley's laughter and music. It sounded like it was from another world. "Ashley is there too?" Emily's voice was shaking. "Yes, she's dancing with a lovely man right now. He might be her new boyfriend. Isn't that romantic?" Emily gripped the phone tightly. "Mom, please." "Emily, you're there, aren't you? Taking care of Mom is your specialty, right? We'll be back the day after tomorrow, so please handle things until then." Click. The phone hung up. Emily stood frozen in place. In the silence of the kitchen, only Jacob's singing voice from the living room could be heard. Michael placed his hand on Emily's shoulder. "How did it go?" Emily fought back tears as she answered. "They're all on vacation in Florida. They completely forgot about Grandma's birthday." Michael's face turned red with anger. "I can't believe it. How could they? What am I going to tell Grandma?" Emily's voice trembled. When they returned to the living room, her grandmother was still gazing out the window. But her expression now showed resignation. "Grandma," Jacob looked up at his grandmother worriedly. "Everyone still hasn't come." Her grandmother squeezed Jacob's hand. "It's okay, Jake. I'm happy enough with you all here. However, Emily didn't miss the tears in her grandmother's eyes. They were tears of disappointment, tears of loneliness that had accumulated over many years. "Grandma," Emily knelt in front of her grandmother. "Everyone else had urgent matters come up and couldn't make it. But let's celebrate with just the three of us. I'm sure it will be a wonderful birthday." Her grandmother smiled gently. "Emily, you're terrible at lying. But I love that kindness of yours." Michael dimmed the living room lights a bit and began placing candles on the homemade cake. "Mom, let's make this a special birthday." Emily wiped away her tears and stood up. She felt anger at her family's coldness, but at the same time, her resolve strengthened. Even if no one else came, she would give her grandmother the best birthday celebration with just their family. "Jake, are you ready to sing?" "Yes, Mom. I'll sing, 'You Are My Sunshine,' Grandma's favorite." As the candle flames flickered quietly, Grandmother Rose closed her eyes and made a wish. Her expression was peaceful, as if she had resolved something deep in her heart. Jacob's clear voice filled the room, and Michael quietly clapped along. Emily gazed at her grandmother's profile, feeling a deeper love than she had ever experienced before. "Now, blow out the candles, Rose," Michael gently encouraged. Her grandmother took a deep breath and blew out all the candles at once. The room became dim, and the smell of smoke drifted through the air. As applause rang out, her grandmother quietly stood up. "Thank you all. But before we eat the cake, there's something I need to tell Emily alone." Emily was a bit surprised by her grandmother's serious expression. "Grandma, what is it?" "Michael, could you take Jake to the kitchen? I want to talk woman to woman." Michael nodded understandingly and took Jacob's hand. "Well, we'll prepare the plates." When they were alone, her grandmother sat back down in the chair by the window and gestured for Emily to sit beside her. The evening twilight softly illuminated the room. "Emily, you are my greatest treasure. That's why I must tell you the truth." Her grandmother's hands trembled slightly. Emily wrapped both her hands around them. 3 months ago, her grandmother began quietly, "I wasn't feeling well, so I went to the hospital for tests. The results were pancreatic cancer. And it's quite advanced." Emily's heart felt like it stopped. "Grandma. The doctor said, 3 months at best. So this might be my last birthday." Tears streamed down Emily's cheeks. "Why didn't you tell anyone? If you had consulted with us. I didn't want to worry you all." Besides, her grandmother gave a bitter smile, "What would have happened if I had told the rest of the family?" Emily remembered her mother's phone call today and felt her chest tighten. Even if her grandmother had told her mother and the others about the illness, they probably wouldn't have changed. "But Emily, I'm not unhappy," her grandmother continued. "Seeing your love today, I feel truly happy in the deepest sense. I've realized again that there are things more important than blood ties." Her grandmother stood up and went to the old desk in the living room. She took out an envelope from there. 2 weeks ago, I had Mr. Harrison, the lawyer, come over and I rewrote my will." Emily was surprised. "Your will?" "Yes. Until now, my will had my assets divided equally among my children. But this recent incident made it very clear who my real family is." Her grandmother took out a copy from the envelope and handed it to Emily. "I've decided to leave this house, my savings, and all the assets I inherited from your grandfather to you, Michael, and Jacob." Emily stared at the document. It clearly stated that all assets would be inherited by the Emily Hansen family. "But Grandma, what about Dad, Mom, and Ashley?" "I'm leaving them each $1. That's what's legally required. But everything else goes to you all." Her grandmother's voice was quiet but showed firm resolve. I've lived for 86 years and finally understood at the end. Family isn't about blood ties, but about hearts that love and support each other. Emily hugged her grandmother while crying. Grandma, we don't love you for your money. I know that, which is why I want to leave it to you, her grandmother said, gently stroking Emily's back. You've visited me every week long before I got sick. You've listened to my stories. Michael has treated me like a real mother. And Jake has given me joy in living. As they were embracing, Jacob's voice came from the kitchen. Mom, Grandma, the cake is ready. Her grandmother pulled away from Emily and wiped her tears. Now, let's continue our special birthday party. When they returned to the kitchen, Michael and Jacob had beautifully cut the cake. The homemade vanilla cake was decorated with lavender-colored icing, her grandmother's favorite. Grandma, Mom spent 3 hours making this cake, Jacob said proudly. It's truly beautiful, her grandmother said, looking at the cake. It's more wonderful than any store-bought cake. Because it's filled with love. The four of them sat around the table, eating cake and talking together. Her grandmother told stories from the past, Michael shared amusing episodes from work, and Jacob cheerfully talked about what happened at school. Emily had just learned about her grandmother's illness, but she was determined to cherish this moment. Jake, her grandmother looked at her grandson. Let me teach you something special. True wealth isn't money or possessions. It's having people who love you. Jacob nodded with a serious expression. Grandma, I love you. Forever and ever. Tears welled up in her grandmother's eyes. Jake, that's my greatest treasure. It's worth more than any diamond. Even as the night grew late, the four continued talking. Outside, the autumn wind was blowing, but inside the small house was overflowing with love. Emily held her grandmother's hand and thought. Today, the rest of the family didn't come. But because of that, what was truly important became crystal clear. Grandma, Emily said quietly. Today was the most beautiful birthday party of my life. Mine too, Emily. Mine too. Her grandmother smiled and looked up at the starry sky outside the window. 5 days later, on Tuesday evening, Emily's cell phone rang. The caller was her mother Carol. Emily was at her grandmother's bedside, discussing future treatment plans with the doctor. Hello, Mom, Emily answered in a tired voice. Emily, we just got back. Florida was wonderful. By the way, how is Mom doing? Carol's voice was full of satisfaction from her tan and vacation. Grandma is now at St. Mary's Hospice, Emily answered quietly. Hospice? What's that? A hospital? Did she catch a cold? Emily took a deep breath. Mom, sit down and listen. Grandma has end-stage pancreatic cancer. She's been given 3 months to live. She heard something drop on the other end of the phone. What did you say? When did you find this out? Why didn't anyone tell us? Carol's voice suddenly became frantic. Grandma has known for 3 months. But she didn't want to worry the family, so she didn't tell anyone. That's ridiculous. I'm her daughter. I have a right to know. Emily gave a cynical laugh. Rights? Mom, 5 days ago you laughed and said about Grandma, is she still alive? Do you remember? Silence continued. Eventually, Carol's trembling voice could be heard. That was just a joke. I never thought she was really sick. A joke? You make that kind of joke about your 86-year-old mother. Emily's voice turned cold. Emily, please, don't talk to me like that. We'll go to the hospital right away. It's hospice, Mom. Not a hospital. The stage for treatment has already passed. The phone hung up. Emily gripped her grandmother's hand again. Her grandmother had a thin smile. "Did you hear that?" Emily asked. "Yes. But I'm not surprised. It was exactly the reaction I expected." An hour later, the sound of a car stopping at Emily's family home echoed. Carol, Robert, and Ashley hurriedly got out of the car. All three were deeply tanned and still carrying the afterglow of their vacation. The front door opened forcefully. "Emily. Where are you?" Carol's voice echoed throughout the house. Emily was waiting in the living room. When the three rushed in, they showed confusion at her calm expression. "Mom, Dad, Ashley. Welcome back." Emily didn't even stand up. "Emily, why didn't you tell us sooner?" Ashley shouted, shaking her blonde hair. "We have a right to know too." "Right to know?" Emily sneered. "You didn't even come to the birthday party." At that point, your level of interest in Grandma was very clear. Robert spoke up. "Emily, that's a different matter. We had booked the vacation months in advance. Grandma's birthday was decided years in advance, Dad." Carol sat down heavily. "We'll go to the hospital right away. We'll find the best doctors and look for treatments." "Mom, weren't you listening? I said she's at hospice." "It's not a stage for treatment anymore," Emily explained tiredly. "I became the medical proxy and arranged for Grandma to spend her time as comfortably as possible." "Medical proxy?" all three shouted simultaneously. "That's right. Grandma asked me to do it. All the legal procedures are complete." Ashley stood up. "That's not right. We're her real children." "Why, Emily?" "Real children?" Emily's voice was ice cold. "Do real children forget their mother's last birthday? Do real children laugh at their mother saying, 'Is she still alive?'" The three were speechless. "By the way," Emily continued, "there's something you should know before going to Grandma's house." "What?" Carol asked in a trembling voice. "The will has been changed." Silence dominated the room. Only the sound of the wall clock could be heard. "Changed? What do you mean?" Robert's voice was hoarse. "All assets are being inherited by my family. You each get $1, which is legally required." Ashley collapsed into a chair. That can't be. You can check with Lawyer Harrison if you want." Everything was processed legally. Carol began to cry. "But I'm her daughter. Her real daughter." "Grandma understood that there are things more important than blood ties," Emily said quietly. "Love. Real love." The three hurriedly headed to her grandmother's house. But there was already a real estate appraiser there. "Excuse me, who are you?" the appraiser asked. "I'm the son of the owner of this house." Robert raised his voice. "I'm sorry, but this house is already scheduled to be inherited by Emily Hansen. I came today for an appraisal for inheritance procedures." Ashley said in a trembling voice, "But Grandma is still alive, isn't she?" "Yes, but procedures for a living gift are being processed, and the transfer has already been completed legally." The three faces turned pale. Mrs. Watson, the neighbor, called out from her garden. "Oh, it's been a while. I heard about Rose. Emily has been taking such good care of her. She visits every day. What a wonderful granddaughter." That night, the three visited St. Mary's Hospice. Her grandmother lay on a white bed, with Emily holding her hand. Michael and Jacob were also there. "Mom," Carol called out tearfully. Her grandmother slowly opened her eyes. "Oh, everyone's back. How was Florida?" "Mom, why didn't you tell us about your illness?" Robert asked in a trembling voice. Her grandmother smiled peacefully. I didn't want to worry you all. Besides, Emily arranged everything, so I'm happy. But Mom, about the will. Ashley started to say. Her grandmother quietly raised her hand. Emily is making my final days beautiful. She comes every day, listens to me, and showers me with love. If you all stay healthy, that's enough for me. Her grandmother closed her eyes and quietly added, I finally understood the definition of family. Love is more important than blood. Heavy silence filled the room. Carol, Robert, and Ashley were finally beginning to understand the magnitude of what they had lost. But it was already too late to take back. 2 weeks later, in the morning, Emily was holding her grandmother's hand. Rose's breathing had become shallow and quiet. Michael was gazing at the sunrise by the window, and Jacob was clutching small flowers at his grandmother's bedside. Grandma, these are my flowers, Jacob whispered. Her grandmother faintly opened her eyes and looked at her beloved grandson. Thank you, Jake. They're very beautiful. Carol, Robert, and Ashley were also in the corner of the room, but they stood in awkward silence. During these 2 weeks, they had visited the hospice every day, but there was an unbridgeable gap between them and their grandmother. Around 3 o'clock in the afternoon, her grandmother quietly opened her eyes. Thank you, everyone, her grandmother's voice was as light as a feather. I had a truly happy life. Thank you for loving me. Those were her grandmother's last words. Emily felt her grandmother's hand slowly growing cold and quietly shed tears. The funeral was held at the small church in town. Surprisingly, many people attended. Library colleagues, neighborhood residents, people from the charity organizations where her grandmother had volunteered. However, the relatives' gazes were cold. Because of those people, we can't inherit anything, one distant relative whispered, pointing at Carol and the others. After the funeral, Lawyer Harrison formally read the will. As expected, all assets were inherited by the Emily Hansen family, with $1 each left for the other family members. That night, Emily spent time alone in her grandmother's house. She found her grandmother's old diary in a kitchen drawer. On the last page, written in shaky handwriting, were these words. Real family is not about blood ties, but about hearts that love and support each other. The most important lesson that Emily, Michael, and Jacob taught me. It was the most beautiful discovery of my life. Months later, Carol and Ashley had begun an ugly fight over the inheritance. It's because you said, "Is she still alive?" that this happened. Ashley blamed her mother. It's not just my fault. You forgot the birthday too. Carol shot back. Robert grew disgusted with their fighting and decided to live separately. The family had completely fallen apart. Meanwhile, Emily's family moved into her grandmother's house and began a new life with precious memories. In her grandmother's garden, the lavender that Jacob had planted bloomed beautifully. One evening, Emily was rereading her grandmother's diary. Michael came home from work, and Jacob came running home from school. Mom, I wrote a composition about family at school today. I wrote about Grandma too. What did you write? I wrote, my family is connected by love. Grandma taught me that there are things more important than blood. Emily hugged her son. Grandma is very happy in heaven. Michael placed his hand on Emily's shoulder. Your grandmother gave us the greatest gift. What's that? The true meaning of family. The evening light warmly illuminated her grandmother's photograph. In the photo, her grandmother wore the most beautiful smile she had shown at that last birthday party. Emily spoke to her grandmother in her heart. Grandma, your teachings will live forever in our hearts. Thank you for teaching us what real family is. The lavender in the garden swayed in the evening breeze, as if her grandmother was smiling. Her grandmother had shown them at the end of her life that love is the answer to everything.